Hello and welcome to Nikon Report, your weekly roundup of the latest Nikon news and also other photographic announcements that we found interesting. This is Becky.
And this is Konstantin.
And let's dive right in. The biggest news of this week comes from Nikon Rumors website, which we all read and love.
Of course.
And they write about a recap of a recent internal Nikon presentation where they confirms that Z7 Mark II is coming in mid-December. Well, we knew about that.
We hope so.
They're talking about 8 new Z-mount lenses released by the end of 2021, and we can confirm that because Nikon updated their lens roadmap very recently. There, we actually found 10 Nikon lenses, so I guess 2 of them are not going to make the cut for next year, but going to be released in 2022. I think the biggest ones from that release is 400mm S lens and 600mm prime, so those are going to be great for wildlife photography. But also we're going to see 50mm micro lens, which a lot of people thought is going to be a 60mm, and also 105 macro lenses.
Yes, in fact, they changed from the 60mm, which was on the original roadmap, to a 50mm a few months back. So that will be interesting to see. I'm also wondering, of those long lenses, are they planning to bring out the 400 and 600 next year or the year after?
That's a good question. I think maybe one of them is going to come out next year, and maybe something like 400mm and then 600 the next year. But at this time, it's pure speculation.
Yeah, exactly. And then I suppose otherwise we've got the pancake lenses, the 85, of which we still don't have the aperture.
That's true.
Some people are speculating 1.2.
I'm hoping for it.
It's going to be a pretty big lens if it's a 1.2.
Whatever.
And then a full frame 24-105, as well as the macros, and the very, very sought after 100 to 400.
That's a good one, isn't it?
Telephoto zoom.
A lot of people are waiting for this.
Yeah, now the question is, will it work with the teleconverters?
Depending on the aperture, I would say. If we're going to have a variable aperture, then it's highly unlikely. But if it's a fixed aperture, then we probably will see the TC14 and 200 working with this lens.
That would be great. It would expand the compatibility of those
Absolutely. From what we see is Nikon being quite aggressive with their mirrorless releases. So that's the good news. But also, according to Nikon Rumors, they confirmed that Nikon is also going to release several F-mount lenses in 2021. So they're not stopping with DSLR range. They're still working on the new releases. They're also talking about development of new DSLR bodies, which is also interesting.
Yeah, the fact that obviously it is a leak of a meeting, and the fact that they say potentially 2 DSLR bodies in 2021 really makes me wonder what they're going to be.
Ooh, I wonder if it's a D850 replacement.
I have heard a lot to indicate that it might be, although I'm still kind of hoping it isn't. What do you think the other one would be?
That's a good question. D500 perhaps?
Well, if our live stream from a few weeks ago is anything to go by, then no. We've got to wait another 8 years for that one.
But if you think about it, so D780 came out very recently. D6 also came out very recently. So I personally think it could be a consumer DSLR, so it could be anything, let's say D3500, 5600 upgrades, or maybe 7500 body.
Sure, that's definitely a possibility. So that's the new potential announcements in 2021. So that was the main news.
Yes, and I think the most exciting one, because for me the most exciting thing that's we still going to see DSLR development and new F lenses. Okay,
but wait, there are some promotions that we need to talk about.
That's right.
Until the 10th of January. We did have a very, very successful Royal Blue Friday weekend that we are still all recovering from, I think.
Yeah, I need a couple of days off, I
think.
The
whirlwind that was that. And there were a lot of Nikon promotions that came out just for that weekend, but the vast majority of them for the Z system and the D850, for example, those are on until the 10th of January.
All right.
So there's still time to take advantage of those. It's an instant winter saving, so it means that you don't have to apply for anything, you don't have to fill out forms for cashback. The prices are just discounted at the time of sale, which makes life much easier.
That's really good. And I think the enhanced part exchange is still going for Z6 Mark II and Z7 Mark II cameras.
Yeah, and also the 12 months interest-free credit, which we don't normally get to do. So that's also for Z6 II and Z7 II until the 10th of Jan. What else do we have?
All right, well, this is a peculiar one. It says Nikon introduces the Laser 50 and the Laser 30 laser rangefinders.
Okay.
What is laser rangefinder? Nobody knows.
I suppose if you're into land surveying or architecture,
yeah,
or
if
something
it's your
like
hobby,
that. If that's your
or
hobby,
work,
that's your jam, then that announcement is for you.
But go to Nikon website.
Not for
the
me.
link to the article is in the description below.
Oh, good. Okay, that makes life a bit easier for people.
Another more interesting stuff, Nikon Photo Contest for 20 and 2021 is now open for entries.
Excellent. And they have both a stills and a video category.
Yes.
And they also have them separated into under 25s, like the new generation, and over 25s. So the top prize, I believe, is 500,000.
Hold on.
Japanese yen.
It's 500,000.
500,000 Japanese yen.
It's almost like 5 billion.
But it's
but
Japanese
it's 500.
yen. So,
and it's thousands.
As I checked, and that translates into about £3,500, Great British pounds.
That's not bad.
That's not a bad top prize.
It can get you something like Z7.
Exactly. But there are also, for second and third category winners, there are also cameras and lenses on offer. Now, the earliest category closes on the entrance close on the 25th of January 2021.
Yeah, so have a look on their website because there are 4 different deadlines.
That's right.
And I think the latest one is around 18th of February and the earliest one is on 25th.
25th of January. So if you are interested in applying for that, the open format one, for example, if you don't have any particular subject in mind, then do check out the times and the applicant dates on the link below.
Fantastic. And speaking of Nikon Global, Nikon School USA freed up their courses for everyone. So you can go to their website and have a look at their courses for free. One of the one that I particularly liked is the SB5000 Flash with Joe McNally.
Oh, great. And that's a free course.
It's a free course. It's available to everyone in UK, in States, anywhere else. You can go there. And those are available for free. There's one on, I think, vlogging with Z50.
Fantastic.
So have a look at Becky's videos on that.
Right up my alley. Yeah.
Absolutely. And it's really good because, you don't need to pay for anything. You don't need to get out. You can do it from your home and get some knowledge.
Just need to register.
Absolutely.
Speaking of, Nikon School UK are also, they do have some free courses still available. Most of their courses are fully booked, I think, right up to New Year. But there have been 1 or 2 that they've opened up slots for. So if you are looking at some of the UK courses, then go and have a look at their website.
That's really good. And speaking of UK, Nikon introduced a Z5 kit with 24-200 VR lens.
Ooh. They said they threatened to do one, but we didn't know if it was coming.
And then we waited and waited and waited.
And then here we go, a couple of months after the announcement. However, it is on offer.
Okay.
It's another one that ends on the 10th of January.
Okay.
So I think that the saving is, I don't know if it was £90 or £120. I couldn't quite work it out. But the price is currently £2,089.
£2,089.
So if you look, £850 lens with a £1,600 body.
Absolutely.
Actually works out, it's quite a good saving.
Good saving, good combination. If you look at our 24-200 reviews, in our opinion, it's a really good lens. In my opinion, it's almost as good as 24-70 f4. So if you have a chance to get it at a bundle price, why not?
Exactly. If you want to step into the Z full frame world, then the Z5 is the way to do it.
Speaking of Z5,
yes,
in Japan, Nikon introduced a limited set with 24-70 lens. Okay, Z5, 24-70 f4 lens.
Okay, because that's not available at the moment.
That's not available.
Right.
And it comes with a little bag of goodies. So one of the things is the filter for 24-70 lens, but it's not just a regular NC filter.
Yeah. It's
R-Crest filter, which is Arneo coated filter.
Which are not available anywhere except for Japan, I believe.
That's right. And what is Arneo coating again, Becky?
It makes your pictures better.
That's the magic.
It's no, the Arneo coating is a very, very high level of coating. It sounds like I don't know what I'm talking about. And the idea is that the filter does not detract any image quality whatsoever from the final picture.
There are no reflections whatsoever.
No reflections, no interrupting. If you look at the charts with the light rays coming through the glass,
all the lines
and stuff,
that go up and down,
it's like straight lines.
It's a straight line, and only available in Japan.
What else does it come with it?
It comes with a metal Nikon Z Hot Shoe cover.
Ooh, fancy.
Imagine that.
That's really cool.
And potentially, it comes with a spare battery This we're not sure about because we can't read Japanese.
No, and even Google Translate wouldn't help us. So we don't know if it's a spare battery or just one battery, but it looks like a nice kit. It also comes with a very fancy vanity case. And to quote the website, the joy of getting it will be further enhanced.
That's pretty much me speaking English.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
So next,
we're going to talk about software and firmware updates.
How exciting!
All right, so this is the most exciting part. I'm really excited about. It's like Becky's excited about film photography.
You're matching my level of excitement about film photography.
No, they're going to come later. But so far, they released the Nikon Z6 Mark II firmware. So in there, they fixed an issue that sometimes caused overexposure in photos taken in continuous release mode, so using AF area mode with human and animal face and eye detection.
That's very niche as a problem, but that's quite interesting.
It is interesting. From other point of view, is actually we would advise you if you're getting your Z6 Mark II and also probably Z7. If you've got FTZ adapter, make sure you update it to the latest firmware, latest version. Because
don't do what I did. Don't go out on a shoot without putting the FTZ on and then discovering that you need to update the firmware of the FTZ in order to use it with the Z6 too.
We've suffered for you.
It was a sad day. So update your FTZ firmware before you try and use it on your Z6 II or Z7 II. I'm assuming it will need the same update. It will save you a lot of heartache.
Absolutely. At this moment, you still need to put on a memory card to update it, but in the future, I think next year, the firmware upgrades will be available via SnapBridge,
which is fantastic. Makes life so much easier.
Absolutely, but it's not there yet.
No.
So we're going to wait for that. And then we had the Nikon D6 firmware update to version 1.11.
What did they do in that one?
Well, to keep it brief, they fixed autofocus fine-tune with zoom lenses.
Okay.
So they've done that. For some reason, it didn't read the longer value of the lens. And also they fixed issue with the radio-controlled flashes. So if you use 2 or more flashes, there were some settings that wouldn't adjust if you change them. So that has been changed.
That's with the advanced wireless lighting system.
That's right.
So SV5000.
With the radio trigger, effectively.
Radio trigger, okay.
Absolutely. Again, you can download them from Nikon website, and the links will be in the description below. Now, would you want to see anything specifically, let's say, updated for D6? I mean, it's pretty good in my opinion.
I think for the D6, we're probably covered. I mean, apart from basic bug fixes and things like that, what I would like to see is CF Express support going into some of the other cameras. I think we've been waiting long enough now for the D850 to have CF Express support. But also the D5 and the D500.
D5 and D500, I absolutely agree with that. They've announced that I think we're around Z7 release.
Yeah, when we were at the Z6, Z7 announcement all those years ago, 2 years ago in the Design Museum.
That's true. That's true.
I remember that they said CF Express support will be enabled in cameras via firmware update, including the D850, D5 and D500. We have not seen it yet.
D500 and D850. From what I hear from the chat on the internet, that not only Nikon is having problems with CF Express compatibility, apparently it's not only depends on the maker of the cards, but also the capacity of them. So from what I've read, there's, let's say, some 64 gig cards working really well, and then 128 gigs are problematic. So I would say bear with us, and hopefully Nikon will release a compatibility update soon.
Excellent. Okay. And then in terms of lens firmware, we also got an update on the 24-70 2.8, didn't we?
Okay, yeah, very small update, and basically all they did is just added Z6 Mark II and Z7 Mark II in compatibility list. There is a thing which is in custom settings menu where you can reverse ring for focusing.
Okay, yes.
From one to another, and for some reason it didn't work originally with those cameras, and now it works.
Exciting.
And the most exciting update we had...
The best firmware update we had was the WT7 firmware. They released a version 1.5 and added support for the Z7 and Z6 Mark II.
Exciting. So WT7 is a wireless transmitter. That's all we know.
For those of you that didn't know what that was.
Yeah.
Then
we had a software update as well. Well, a release and update. So Nikon released version 1 of Nikon webcam utility,
which is great.
This software allows you to use your DSLR. So let's say Z7 or Z6 or even D850.
Your Z camera or DSLR.
Yes, and your mirrorless D850 as a webcam. So you can connect to your computer, install the software, and use it as a webcam, or also you can stream with it.
Yes, which you actually successfully managed to set up, didn't you?
Absolutely, yeah. We've shot one video on how to actually set it up, so that's coming out soon. Keep an eye on our website.
Yeah, so part of the update was, first of all, they added Mac compatibility because originally it was just for Windows 10.
Yep.
And they also added the number of bodies that you can use, so including Z6 and 7 Mark II, D5, D810, 750.
Yeah, even 7200.
And even 7200 and the smaller bodies like the 3500. Yeah. That is very impressive because originally you had to have one of the very latest bodies in order to get that to work. So I'm excited to see your video when it comes out.
Very soon.
Yeah.
Hopefully. Fingers crossed. Okay, on another Nikon related news, we're going to talk about some third-party releases. So Nisi released a 100mm filter holder for Nikon Z14-24 lens.
Which is interesting because the filter thread is 112mm.
That's a good question, isn't it? So we assume the filter holder mounts on the camera itself.
Yes.
And then you use pretty much kind of rectangle pieces of glass to slide it in. So similar to Lee filter system.
Like the Lee and also Kokin do a similar filter system, although not necessarily this big. So this is the 100mm series. You will be able to find it on the Nisi website, and we will include a link to it below.
Absolutely. And then company Nauticam. Nauticam, is that how you spell it? Okay.
Well, like nautical, like of the sea. Yeah, Nauticam. No, it's fine. Nauticam also released a underwater housing for the Nikon Z50. It's
fantastic. How much it is?
It's a bargain. No, it really is. It's £2,176.
Okay, so I can potentially buy 3 Z50s,
dunk them all in the water,
throw 2 in the water, and still we have 1 Z50 left.
You could, however, as underwater housings go, I would say that that's not the most expensive one. The most of the underwater housings tend to be at least 3+ times the cost of the camera that they're supposed to cover. So again, we will pop a link to that below if you're interested in an underwater housing for your Z50. That is a professional underwater housing, so it's not just sort of
not like a plastic bag with a rubber band around. No. Okay.
What's up next?
What's up next? Okay, CP Plus camera and imaging show is confirmed for February 25th, 28th in Yokohama. So that's a Japanese photography show. Why is it important? Well, let me tell you. Generally, Nikon announce a lot of new stuff around that time. So generally, we have show in Japan, show in Los Angeles in January. Then we have a show in Japan, which is this one, CP Plus.
When's the
camera
Vegas one?
The Vegas one is around January. So again, this one has been cancelled. So the interesting thing that CP Plus is still on 25th and 28th. From another news is Foteini was suspended until further notice.
That's a shame.
And that's pretty much the biggest photographic show in the world, isn't it?
It really is, yeah. I mean, there's a few, like, for example, the photography show, which was delayed, and then cancelled, and now we're, I think, looking at an online version of that. SWPP is currently still scheduled for March.
Absolutely. So that one was generally, I think, in January, and that's been moved to March.
Yeah, so that's the Society of Wedding and Portrait Photographers, for those of you that don't know. So we potentially have some photographic events to attend in 2021, provided we can. And that's very interesting on the CP Plus show. So 25th to 28th of February.
Yes.
Excellent.
Mark your calendars.
Yeah, in case you want to go over there. Right, so now other non-Nikon related news.
Non-Nikon related news, something that we found interesting. And I think one topic I want to talk about is Nikon released their new MacBook.
Apple.
I'm surprised that Nikon didn't release the new MacBooks and Apple did.
That is surprising.
All right. Well, I'll wait for Nikon to announce theirs. But
in the meantime, we'll talk about Apple. In the meantime,
let's talk about Apple ones. So they released new MacBooks containing their brand new chip, which is called M1. So it's not Intel chip.
Right.
It's not AMD chip. It's their own made chip. So
interesting.
Yes. What does it mean for photographers?
I have no idea.
Okay. Well, basically, the chip is very similar to iPhone and iPad.
Right.
Okay, so it comes from that. So it can actually run iPad and iOS software natively.
Right.
Now, the software that was designed for Macs, which was generally Intel-based, can now work on those Macs via Rosetta 2 emulator.
Okay.
So at the moment, it's an emulator that runs this software.
Okay.
However, there will be a specific bit of software like Photoshop released that's specifically designed for this chip. So what does it mean? It's going to be a lot faster. So the current benchmarks that just came out, as a single processor, it's already faster than previous generation of Intel MacBooks.
Okay.
So if you are a content creator, so video creator, photographer that's working with large, high-resolution files,
yeah,
or a streamer, you will definitely benefit from this. So it's a new development, and it's quite exciting. To be honest with you, we will need to wait and see, unfortunately, because it's just out, so there's not many types of software that support it. But if, let's say, you wait for about 3-6 months, I'm sure you'll see huge improvements in terms of performance.
And probably a ton of field tests will be done.
Well, that's the thing. And price-wise, to be honest with you, for the performance you get from them, it's pretty good. So generally, MacBooks were considered to be quite expensive.
Yeah.
They are quite competitive with this generation of laptops.
Maybe it's time for me to upgrade.
You never know.
Yet. My old 2008 iMac, maybe I should upgrade that one.
Yeah.
The verdict's out whether or not it will be faster, this new one, than my old iMac.
As long as it can run Solitaire, I'm sure I'm going to be fine.
Solitaire is all I need.
Yeah.
So they've released a MacBook and an iMac, as far as I saw.
So it was Mac Mini, and it was MacBook Air and MacBook Pro. The difference between MacBook Air and Pro is MacBook Air has fanless design, so there's no design in the laptop at all. So it makes it small and light.
Right.
And the Pro has a fan. So while they have identical processor and identical RAM, 8GB or 16GB, technically the MacBook Pro should work better under load. So performance for general tasks is going to be identical.
Right.
But if you, let's say, you are encoding a 4K video, that's where the Pro is going to be slightly better. So it will be will spend less time, exporting that video.
Excellent. All right, all your latest Nikon/Apple news.
Yes. So when Nikon release their MacBook Pros, I will update you as well.
What's up next?
Kodak is releasing their 70s inspired metal film case in 6 colors.
I saw this. They're very cool. They look very, very, very cool. So they hold up to, I think, 6 rolls of film. And they come out in, it's either 5 or 6.
Yeah, so 6 rolls of films. Would it last you about 2 hours of shooting? Is that
for
what it
me,
is?
probably,
yes,
yeah.
Okay.
More like a few days.
And how many memory cards can I put inside?
None. And they come in 6 different retro style colors, including silver. They do the sort of traditional Kodak red and yellow.
Yes, I like that.
Blue and yellow. And then they do yellow and silver with the silver base. And then they do white, black, and just an all silver version.
Fantastic.
I will have one of each, please.
Brilliant. And they're not very expensive, so it's a kind of a good Christmas present for someone.
That's very true. Very nice little Christmas present for the film enthusiast in your life, or for Becky. Nudge,
or
nudge,
for Becky.
wink, wink. Yeah.
And that's it for the news for this week.
Yes.
We're gonna move on to some reviews that came out for Nikon equipment. So let's talk about my review of 24-200,
which is a cracking review, if I say so myself.
Thank you very much. It was my first one, and I'm speaking very fast in there.
Yes, so... I know. I had to put subtitles on. Although to be fair, I do quite often do that anyway.
Yeah, I had to put subtitles in Russian to understand myself. I can tell you that.
We've also got, hopefully, my Z6 II review coming out.
Okay, yeah, that's coming soon as well.
It has been filmed. It is in the can.
What are your thoughts so far?
So I personally found it not to be dramatically different to the Z6. This is my review in like a 10-second nutshell. But the focusing was faster, particularly for animal eye AF. It does not work on rabbits.
How's it in low light as well for focusing? Is it better?
Much better in low light for focusing. Fantastic. As I say, because I took it on a shoot and didn't update the firmware of the FTZ, I could only test it with Z lenses, which wasn't great because I don't have a huge selection of those at home. But it was impressive. It was a nice improvement from the Z6.
Fantastic. And also ephotozine.com released their review of Z6.
Yeah.
And they're kind of pretty much in line with you. They say it's a good 2-year upgrade.
Yes.
So it's not revolutionary upgrade, but
yeah,
you got 2 memory card slots, which are a huge improvement, and overall just much better, kind of faster performance overall.
Exactly.
So there also was a review on 1424 f2.8 S lens by Camera Labs. They released 2 reviews last month. There's one on 1424 and one on the Z teleconverters.
Yes.
So what they say is it's definitely overall better than the F-mount version of 1424.
Okay.
One thing they're not particularly happy about is bokeh, which I think for this type of lens, I wouldn't worry too much about that.
It's not usually what it's used for, I would say, but fair enough.
Yeah, and also large 112mm filter.
Yes, I can understand why that might be a bit cumbersome, but actually with the Nisi filter system that we just mentioned, that is probably going to be easier to buy those plate filters or those sheet filters instead of buying lots of circular polarizers. We did actually get a shipment of the circular polarizers. They are a stonking £549.
No. £549
for the polarizer, and I think it was $309 or $329, don't quote me on that, for the neutral color 112mm filter. So only buy one if you really need it.
Well, absolutely, but at the same time, if you're shooting a lot outdoors, I guess any filter is better than no filter.
This is very true.
Just for kind of safety purposes, really, more than anything else. But they're also good, quote, very good resolution. Almost no color aberrations, or chromatic aberrations. So overall, they say it's a good upgrade over the current F-mount 1424.
Excellent.
Also on their Nikon Z teleconverters reviews, they're quite happy. They say it's a good match to 70-200 that's already out.
Yes, of course. It's the only lens you can use it on.
Absolutely, and that's what they their main complaint in their review is about, that there's only one lens available at the moment.
Yes, wow.
One of the things that they mentioned, and I think everyone should know it, basically the rear part of the front part of the teleconverter has a quite long protruding element.
Yes.
So when you're taking it off the camera and putting it on, make sure that you don't put it the opposite way, because you can actually touch the sensor with it and scratch it.
Yeah.
Nikon actually has a cap that shows you how to put the teleconverter on.
Got the diagram. Do not put it on the wrong way round, whatever you do. Yeah.
Absolutely. And that's kind of one of the things that I think a lot of people need to remember, and maybe not to rush with the things when you're on the shoot. So just kind of do everything slowly and properly.
Exactly. And apart from that, I think overall quality and the amount or lack of quality that it reduces from the 70 to 200 seems to be, just as a general consensus, not just from them, but from customers who've been using it. They've said it's very, very impressive. It reduces pretty much no quality at all. So,
do you think we're going to see 1.7 teleconverter at some point?
Of all of Nikon's teleconverters, I think that's probably been the least popular for us, particularly in recent years, because they haven't updated it.
That's true. It's still a Mark II version, isn't it?
Yeah, and yet it is kind of the sweet spot of teleconverters, because it's not so much that it reduces by 2 stops, and also it's not so little that you don't get enough extension. So hopefully Nikon will make a 1.7 at some point, but I think the first priority is to bring out more lenses that are actually compatible.
Fantastic.
100 to 400. Nudge, nudge, wink, wink, Nikon.
Nudge, nudge, wink, wink.
Come along.
That's it. This is a wrap.
Wow.
Absolutely.
This was our first go. So
thank you so much for bearing with us. We hope to come back to you next week, but it will depend on the amount of news that will be out.
It'll either be a really short podcast or
30 seconds with Con or Becky or both of us.
Yeah, exactly. But thank you very, very much for watching and or listening.
Thank you, Dad, and thank you, Mom.
And we will see you again, hopefully very soon.